Hello, everybody. It's week 12. Honestly, we are very, very, very close to the start of playoff best ball season. If you're in the high stakes leagues, this is the last week, bro. This is the last week in the FFPC and the NFFC to make the sprint, and it's by Mageddon. Chase Brown, the singular greatest pick in fantasy football that you could have made this entire season, is not playing this week. A bunch of other guys are not playing this week. I am, of course, joined by my boy, Chess Liam. You could be watching this on his channel as well. And we are going to survey the scene in best ball right now. It's Short King Summer, dude. It just feels like no one in fantasy sports ever learns anything. Does he mistime it, or is Brock Bowers just a grown man? Brock Bowers is just a grown man. Dare I say, Rich, football might be back. In the words of Lane Johnson, this offense looks constipated. It's Short King Summer. Well, Liam, I mean, I've basically already given up on my bags this season. Any money that I get back from this regular season is going to be fine. It's time to turn my attention towards playoff best ball and try and get to even there, because I don't think it's happening for me this year, brother.
Playoff best ball is going to have its moment, but we're going to keep the show mainly on the regular season sweat. Yeah, I mean, bye Mageddon is hitting here. Falcons, Bills, Bengals, Saints, Jets, Jags, all on bye. We were talking backstage, and the context of this year is just significantly different than, for example, last year, where I would say the quality of most of the teams that are going to make the playoffs aren't as good. And why that is because your 6th round plus picks, so your first, second, third, whatever, like those are the picks that are carrying your teams. And, like your Joe Mixons, your Derrick Henrys, your Jamar Chases, whatever. Whereas last year, like Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua were a big reason teams were making the playoffs. And that just changes everything when your late round picks, your H-hands are carrying your playoff team, because it allows you to sneak in these low-owned studs, and your whole roster top to bottom is nice. Whereas this year, it's like, all right, I got Jerry Jeudy with my Saquon or Joe Mixon, and you have Curtis Samuel, and it's like, okay, like that's just different. And I think it's a pretty fun sweat where when you do have a team that's like relatively healthy, relatively complete, that's one where you're like, this one can do some real damage, and it's really unique this year.
Who were the best late round picks this year? Honestly,
quarterbacks. It's Bo Nix and Drake May to me, like pretty comfortably. And then there's guys like there's Tyrone Tracy. You feel good about that. But again, it's like, his quarterback's Tommy DeVito. It's half point PPR.
Yeah, do you even feel that good about Tyrone Tracy? I get QJ and Mooney, but like, I got
Jonnu Smith dropping hand.
Like, this is the answer. Chuba has been awesome. Tillman has been good. Jauan Jennings. These guys were not super super-drafted.
I mean, Jennings is barely drafted, right? Like, so the Jennings teams and Tillman too, barely drafted. Yeah, like Chuba was like the guy for 0 RB teams, where it's like, you selected Braylon Allen instead, forget about it. Like that's like at least 200 points left on the table.
Dobbins has been a very good one.
Dobbins, a very solid one. And like, really, if you look at the injury guys, like Chubb sucks. Dobbins, though, smash. Not the same thing, because Dobbins was presumed healthy. Hawkinson just now coming into his own here. But yeah, it's a fun sweat. We're only
the overlap in weeks 15. The week 15 overlap is going to be insane. Like, imagine, I don't know, who do the Falcons play in week 15, because they're going to be a team that has the Falcons play the Raiders, so I guess they're probably going to smash. I was going to say like Mooney going to 0 could be pretty brutal. I mean, dude, if
he
Kamara
could just
has a bad week,
have a bad game, like you can be a stud and have like a game that goes 5 for 30, like that. That's like Justin Jefferson's doing that every week. So it happens, right? But yeah, I mean, this past week was really insane where, like, okay, Puka Nakua has a good game. Doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter at all because Jonnu Smith laid the hammer. Brock Bowers laid the hammer. Like, okay, Chase has 2 touchdowns, so that, he gained a little bit of advance rate, but there were multiple guys dropping 40. Amon-Ra picked up significant advance rate where, like, grabbing 18 points is like, all right, good for you. But here's Jonnu Smith with 2 touchdowns, 1 in garbage time, essentially,
It has been so funny how the positional scoring has kind of clumped where it's like, oh, congrats, you got this big smash from a guy, and then it did not move your advance rate in any way, shape, or form. I don't think so on Pearsall because Jennings is too good. Jennings is just too good for Pearsall to be this like huge smash. And then Kittle, theoretically should be playing for the rest of
Well,
the
and the rumor there is that Purdy's like shoulder is not healthy right now, which, like, if Purdy gets yanked, I mean, maybe that's good for your bags.
Who's their backup quarterback? Is it Josh Dobbs?
I think it is, yeah. And like theoretically, like the Niners, the 5-5 Niners, 49ers here, like they should go on a run here if they're going to make the playoffs, but will they? That division, 6-4 Cardinals, 5-5, 5-5, 5-5, everyone else.
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, that's a pretty interesting contest for the that's a pretty interesting question for the playoff contest is, man, I'm like kind of out on the 49ers, but Purdy has been, outside of last week, Purdy's honestly been very good. I just feel like I don't know, it feels like an all-time noisy season from the 49ers, basically.
Yeah, they were first in touchdown conversion, like in the 10-yard line last year, and I think they're
last.
Yeah.
Are.
So like,
They are literally last in the red zone.
Is that randomness that like will come to the mean, or is there something significant occurring there? Like what is it, like Debo getting fat the reason, and like he was
Dude,
such like
Debo is awful, man.
Yeah, like,
Debo is killing me, killing the 49ers. Like it is. I look, if you would have told me that Brandon Ayuk was out for the year, I would have been like, wow. So I'm gonna have a really good year in best ball. It is nuts, man. It is nuts how many of my stances are like just at absolute zero. Just like the worst possible decision you could have been
and at the
making.
same time, it feels that way. Yet, I could see the 49ers still going on a huge fantasy run here in the playoffs where, Rams,
Of course, yeah.
Miami, Detroit. These are 3 2 defenses that are not good at all, and then 1 defense where you target via the pass in the Lions. So, like that's the game we're playing. So Chase Brown, like, is he just the overall RB1 if it may be RB2? If we're,
he's the guy you need. I mean, he just got 20 points without a touchdown. Like,
yeah.
They like Khalil Herbert actually because it was a fumble. Khalil Herbert's play did not get registered as a touch. So technically, since Zach Moss went on IR, no other Bengals running back has received a touch of the ball. And if technically speaking,
if Chase Brown had gotten hurt, like, I think Moss is getting the same workload. He's not doing the same thing with it, right? Like he's
I think a bad pass catcher.
Yeah, but he would be getting opportunities, I think.
It's honestly, it's hard. It's hard for me to game that out. Would Zach Moss be? Honestly, what would happen was Chase and T would be even bigger smashers than they are already. Like, if Chase Brown was not back there, would they just throw the ball? Like, would they be the number 1 PROE team in the entire NFL? I think they might.
They already were. Like, they were already like 2 to start, behind the Seahawks. Did you know that T. Higgins is scoring more points per game than Justin Jefferson?
That's not surprising to me because he keeps scoring touchdowns. So has he only played 3 games or has he played 4 games?
Yeah, I mean, he's missed a lot of time, but it's just a reminder that like
Jefferson's
like quarterback play matters, right? Like this was a huge market inefficiency where
Higgins, that's not what's happening with Jefferson at all. The thing
Not
that's happening with
Jefferson. I'm
Jefferson.
talking about the Bengals prices being cheap, where
Oh, sure.
like you just roll back a healthy Joe Burrow season and you see he averages 23 points per game. And then T. Higgins literally was the guy at the 2-3 turn who was on all the top scoring teams 2 years ago. And then he has a down year, and we're like, okay, so Waddle and Smith, these other twos who used to be grouped with, we'll still price them the same. But T. Higgins, no, we're not doing that. And the market was kind of right where this contract, what have you, is playing a role there. But no, I think that's the way you could just look at the market and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go on the Bengals here.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was big on the Bengals disaster season, and the season has been a stone disaster, but it's come with Burrow playing the best football of his career. Like, if I told you that this was Burrow's best season, you're never guessing that they basically have to win out after their bye week to make the playoffs, which is the scenario that they're in right now. So I don't know. Oh, what is there to learn from the Bengals situation? I guess it's don't pretend that you are don't pretend you're too smart and just take good players. I suppose that is
I think it's I think it's okay to have the mindset that they're fragile picks, but that doesn't acknowledge
doesn't mean they're
any of
bad.
the upside abilities. So it's
Yeah.
you should be mixing them in and be like, okay, they have huge upside, and maybe the fragileness is gonna cut. They're 4-7. Maybe we are just gonna get this deactivate everyone season come playoffs, and they got you there and they didn't do anything. You want to pull up the thread I sent you? Start talking through the advance rates.
Yeah. I'm curious what I'm curious what the first I haven't looked at these at all yet. I'm curious what the first round advance rates look like. Let me share the right tab. This will be a good bit. What will Chase's advance rate be after this bye week? So a week where he gets 0 points. I'm actually fascinated that St. Brown, I believe, just had his most ever fantasy points in one game this last week, and he still is only at 25%. And
Well,
that Brees number.
He gained 8%. So that's pretty significant he was at 17.8, so
Yeah.
gaining 8% or so is pretty significant for a first round pick, especially because Chase scored 2 touchdowns again. CMC, since playing, hilarious, funny enough, his advance rate is going down just because he's not getting touchdowns. And again, guys like Jonnu Smith, Brock Bowers, etc. Bijan, yep, he's hitting the buy. Brees Hall didn't really move much for having a great game.
He smashed, but he didn't move. I wonder how
Puka's
often.
climbing a little bit.
Well, he smashed. He also is probably attached to Stafford, who just had another 4 touchdown game. I would assume the correlation there is pretty high.
But the Cardinals had their bye, so that's some negative correlation too.
The Gibbs one is interesting because he's obviously been awesome. I wonder if his advance rate is getting dragged down by being paired with negative advance rate guys at the turn so often.
Yeah, absolutely. Correlated with Ayuk, which is just obviously dead, and then Debo, who is effectively been a dead pick, effectively been a zero. What's he has he provided 1 spike this year? I think literally 1. Debo?
He had the 3 for 102 and 1 against the Seahawks the last time, and he scored a rushing touchdown in week 1, and that's it basically.
Okay. And then Kittle missed this game. So yeah, he has a lot of negative correlation that occurred there. AJ Brown, playing awesome, but the Eagles are just running the football so much.
It's so insane. AJ Brown could not possibly be playing any better. He could not possibly be playing any better. What do you want him to do? And he's got a below
It's a little bit
average
predictable though, right? With a Jalen Hurts, just wide receiver where they're just not going to pass as much as you want them to. Tyreek Bags, looking pretty fine, honestly.
Nah, he just the whole offense just basically looks 20% worse than it did last year to me.
It's
Like
worse.
even A Chain is not like giga smashing.
Well, and he is like, they're not playing an RB2 right now, really. They're just like going with the HN show. Like Lamb, okay, Lamb bags are like not as dead as they seem. It's not
You
good. It's not good, but
you know who Lamb would be right now? Lamb would definitely be the low advance rate guy that if you just could fast forward to week 17 and you realize you had him, you'd be like, well, I don't hate that.
yeah, you would choose many players over him, but you're like, okay, could we get this like weird Cooper, and like Jake Ferguson missed a concussion too, so like that helped him. I saw that like Kevontae Turpin scored that awesome touchdown. That was his second slant route of the whole year. Just a further example of, maybe we should get this really fast guy moving sideways across the field.
They started Ryan Flournoy over him in that game. I mean, they're just vibing, dude.
Yeah. Man, the Puka teams. Do you have any Puka teams moving forward?
I was a big Rams drafter. I think I was lower on Puka. I for sure am lower on Puka because I was such a Cup guy. Here, let's do.
I have one Puka team advancing, and the other one team kind of thin.
There you go. There's one. Let's see this one. 3 behind, in third, 60 points behind. So you've got.
It's a really nice team, but like it just got killed. I think the guy probably had like Janu or something,
Yeah. So that's pretty far behind. I wonder. I would
and
guess.
Bijan and Chase Brown on a bye.
I've got one that's 31 points behind and one that's 50 points behind. Let's see. The one that's 31 behind is not going to get there because I'm going to have the week 14 buys. It's got a bunch of zeros at wide receiver. Got a bunch of zeros at wide receiver, bunch of zeros at running back. This is an awful team. That team is not advancing. Maybe this one that's 50 back. Herbert and Ladd, Jaden Reed. Well, this one maybe could get there.
That team looks good, but I don't know.
I mean, who could say? Who could say? Literally.
Well, yeah, like I think this past week's a reminder, right? Like I don't think people were counting on 30 points from Jonnu Smith, and so you can get that random.
This advance rate is going to go higher because Cooper Kupp right now, he leads all of football in or all wide receivers in expected fantasy points per game, even in half PPR. I think
much rather. I mean, Puka's the clear one there, right? Though, like,
did you see that? Did you see that Hollywood tweeted a clock?
Yeah, I think that signified that he meant the downfall of the Chiefs dynasty. It's over.
Hollywood right now, 8.3% advance rate. I wonder if I got to be advancing a Hollywood team just based on how often I was drafting him. I'm literally not advancing a single fucking Hollywood.
I got some players like that too.
That is incredible. That is incredible. Are any of these even? None of these are even close, dude. None of these are even within a whisper.
I wouldn't count on Hollywood in the regular season anyway.
Just that he would be. That would be a sick guy to show up in week 16 or week 17. Yeah, these are dead. I'm not even looking at these. All right, let's go to the elite quarterback advance rates. Pretty simple conversation. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Everyone else thinks even Jaden Daniels now that he's not running. That, by the way, is going to be such a wrinkle to advance rates. Baker's points are down, Daniels' points are down. And I don't know how much better the Daniels points are going to get because they've just stopped running him while his ribs heal. He said he's healthy. The team said he's healthy, but I don't think the numbers lie.
Yeah, I want to say a couple of things here. One is the Caleb Williams bags are looking a lot more live.
He hasn't thrown a touchdown in 3 weeks. But yes, I agree.
Okay, but he just ran for 70 rushing yards. Like if you just pretended he was Justin Fields, you would be like, yeah, this guy could have a huge game. Like
do I need Russell Wilson to get benched so quickly.
If you could, like 70 rushing yards, that means he could have like a 102 game. plus, throw 202. Like, he could have a huge game. Those bags are looking a lot more live. Richardson bags look major alive, where they, like, we got 10 rushing attempts in this game.
Yeah.
He was around like 6 to like start the year. So they are running him more. One game sample, but is what it is. Stroud bags should be way more alive with Nico. Nico didn't look full health in that game, but of course, Nico gets the touchdown called back. And then this is probably a good time to talk about Jaden Daniels. I wanted to say that I mean, like, Bo Nix just looks awesome now, where like a couple weeks ago you would have been like, oh yeah, Jaden Daniels, the guy I want to have. And I still think there's a chance there where their schedule lightens up some. They're probably, they probably were like, probably not going to win the Eagles game. Let's save him. Let's make sure we get these wins against the Giants, etc. Make the playoffs and then do some damage. And then this is probably a good time to talk about Bills Chiefs. We have to close that loop. What was your, that game was pretty wild, where like Xavier Worthy on the way to the game of his life due to the Bills playing man defense, and then they don't use him at all for the rest of the game. So
well,
bizarre.
He's not in the circle of trust, dude. He made, so that the play that defined the game was the play that both Mahomes and Worthy didn't make. Worthy gets 20 yards of separation from the Bills safety. Mahomes, I think, makes the wrong play, but I think he makes it because he doesn't trust Worthy to make a play on the ball. Like, if he puts it up, he doesn't want the safety to have the opportunity to close, so he puts it over to the sideline where only Worthy can get to it. Obviously, Worthy is an idiot. He just has no proprioception, doesn't have the ability to know where he's out on the field, doesn't even come close to doing the right thing to get. He freaking dragged his toe on the sideline. Just like unbelievably bad.
Can someone find out what size shoes Xavier Worthy has? Like, is he like a size 6 or is he a size like 12? But like a little bit more forgivable if it's the latter.
No, he's just Worthy is not a good player right now. Like, obviously you can see the tools, but he's really bad. They just don't have a choice but to use him. Like, their option is, what they did was they said, all right, well, we're just going to use Hardman because you can't. I think maybe he kind of has the same issue as AD Mitchell, where he just cannot pay attention. Like, maybe he is just a zoomer and his brain is so rotted.
He's going to be fine, dude. I think he'll be fine. He's a raw, fast guy who is showing enough year one.
Yeah,
and
but point being, they lose the game because after that, then they go into a shell.
They lose the game because they were outcoached and outplayed, and there's they
were definitely outplayed. I don't think they were outcoached. What would have been a situation where McDermott outcoached them?
Being aggressive. They just outcoached them, where historically the Bills are a very zone team. They surprised the Chiefs by running a lot of man. And, at this age, Hopkins is not beating man. Kelsey's not beating man that much. The Bills having to play AJ Klein off the street in the playoff game last year. Kelsey was erased this game.
Do you count it as erased if Noah Gray kills you?
30 yards and 2 red zone touchdowns. What are you going to
do? That would be like saying that Dawson Knox was erased while Khalil Shakir runs crazy.
Well, the couple other things we have to talk about. Very poetic that you championing Khalil Shakir terrible at football, and he puts the absolute dagger in there to catch that 10-yard pass on the game sealing drive. An all-time cope to these I do believe in holding a little bit back, but all-time cope by the Chiefs fans being like, "Oh, we lost that game on purpose."
Oh no, they were trying to win. I think the Noah Gray stuff was a pretty clear indication they really wanted to win that game. So what they did was they really limited Watson and Hopkins' snaps. It was the most routes that Noah Gray has ever run in a game that Kelsey played in. And that was pretty clearly a playoff wrinkle to me, especially the first touchdown. The second one was just like a scramble drill or whatever. But the first touchdown, that was like an Andy play. I don't think anyone could be serious and say the Chiefs weren't trying or the Chiefs weren't doing whatever. Here's the thing. If you do man long enough against the Chiefs, you're gonna get killed. You're gonna get murdered because Andy will manipulate you too
And
well.
Mahomes is leading the league in interceptions, right?
He just throws one terrible one every week, just like every
Yeah.
week. Like,
I
dude,
mean,
what is he doing?
The Disney writers were on when they had DeMar Hamlin intercept Mahomes to start the game. Absolutely electric. No, I mean, big win for Buffalo, keeps the hopes of the 1 seed alive. Technically, the Steelers have hopes of the 1 seed,
Yeah,
but
technically speaking.
I don't think it's realistic looking at their schedule. Like, they play a bunch of good teams. The Bills, toughest test. They play the Lions. They play the 49ers. The Rams, they can beat anyone, you know. The Chiefs, they play the Steelers, so losable. They play the Chargers, who I do not want to face the Chargers in the playoffs. Like this year is way different in the playoffs where
I don't know,
there's no Duck Hodgins Steelers waiting at the end of the rainbow, right? Like the
Well, there's
closest
the
thing to
Russell
that.
Wilson Steelers
Okay,
and
there's
the
that,
and the Bo Nix Broncos.
there's that and the Broncos, who, I mean, dude, Bo Nix, got to give him his flowers at this Falcons game.
Sure.
But you know, like the Chargers, and if the Bengals can make it in, you do not want to face those teams, and those teams can go on a run and make the actual Super Bowl.
Bengals to get there, it's so thin. I mean, they might do it, but it is like unbelievably thin.
It's very thin. I just don't think they're going to have the mental strength to do it either.
I agree the Chargers are better than the Texans. I definitely agree with that.
I don't know if that's fair, where I think after you see a couple of games with Nico, you might change your tune there.
No, I just think Bobby Slowick is too conservative to win a playoff game.
I think that the Chargers are probably a year away from being like the full Harbaugh vision.
Yeah, their wide receivers and honestly even their running back room, like their skill position players, like Will Dissly leads the team in targets the last 3 years.
Blocking tight end Will Dissly going off, and Justin Herbert, man, like he's looking like Josh Allen out there, like
yeah,
chipping
he's
in
been great.
50 to 70 rushing yards a game, and that's what you need to do to be a true difference maker. Like pass like the best of them, and give you something on the ground.
Yeah, he's been great. Yeah, I mean, like obviously, in my opinion, everyone the anti-Chief stuff obviously has gone too far. Like everyone's like, oh, frauds, worse, whatever. Like, okay, sure, but like go win a playoff game in Arrowhead. That's kind of my opinion on everyone. I've said this the whole time.
Seed, you know,
I've said the whole time that the team I am most afraid of the Chiefs playing at home is the Bengals.
That's absurd. When the Bills have like literally beat the Chiefs multiple times. I mean, obviously,
not
like
the playoffs though.
Okay, but it's a 1-game sample in the playoffs. Like, are these games?
It's a different game, bro. It's a different game.
That's not really my take. I mean, obviously they're more important games, but it's like, you know, they're trying to win in the regular season. They're trying to get, like, if the Chiefs had won,
I'm not a Chiefs fan that's saying they are not trying to win or that game was not important.
Yeah, and they lost by 2 scores, you know. No, it was a close game. Like, I think, but I just think that this year
is live right now, Rob. Go look.
Yeah, it's live with like really small contests. The bigger contest though should come this week, I think.
Probably this week.
But yeah, I think the AFC playoffs are just really exciting this year, where there's a lot of parity, you know, like Texans, Chargers, Bills, Chiefs, Ravens. Like Ravens aren't a complete team. They're very fragile with their O-line and defensive woes, but you know, they can beat anyone.
If their defense was like 10% better, 15% better, because Lamar is fucking killing it, dude.
Lamar and they're passing, right? Like they are. It doesn't feel like the Ravens year. It feels more like the Bills, the Chiefs again.
I think it feels like the Bills or the Lions year, probably.
That would be a really fun Super Bowl, because it's like someone has to win the Super Bowl and neither have, and both those cities have some connection there. The Lions have gotten a little fat on like bad teams, you know, like, okay, you blowing out the Jaguars.
Yeah, scoring a billion points versus the Jaguars.
Yeah, like that doesn't move me. Like, that's not like, oh wow, you're awesome, you scored 50 on the Jaguars, going for it on 4th down with the game out of hand, you know. Now that's not their fault, right? Like, they can't control who they play, and they've beaten good teams, but you know, they almost lost to like the Nico Collins-less Texans. They came back in that game. They lost to the Bucks. You know, everyone's going to lose some games, but I think the Chiefs should be the betting favorites to remain the 1 seed, but it's if the Bills run the table, they'll probably get it.
Yeah.
Which is
so
hard.
right now, the this is just what I use. I use this modeling for the playoff drafts. The Chiefs are 63% for a first round bye. The Bills up to 27%. That feels pretty accurate to me. It's like a 75.
Yeah, I would put it closer to like, I don't know, 55-35. Not that it really matters.
The Chiefs schedule is like, you know, I mean,
they could
obviously,
lose to the Chargers. They could lose to the Steelers. They have some
okay.
easy ones.
If they lose to the Steelers, this team is dead. They're it's not the team. It's not the team I love.
No, like how do they lose to the Steelers? Kind of like how the Ravens did. Like the you know, the Steelers grinded.
Buddy,
to a halt.
that's a game Lamar loses. That's not a game Pat loses. No disrespect intended.
I mean, we'll see. They've been trailing in like every game. And obviously the Chiefs have been snake bitten, right? Like, no Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt is not the same. No Hollywood Brown.
They've been snake bitten in a certain sense,
Rice.
But they've been like the luckiest team in football in general.
They're dealing with a lot of significant injuries is the point. And every team is, but the NFC playoff picture feels a little bit different, where it feels like really only the Eagles or Lions can make the Super Bowl. You know, like of course the 49ers can. Like, of course the Rams can, but Eagles feel like a complete team. Lions feel like a complete team.
I think the Packers. I think
the Packers too. Yeah. The Vikings definitely not. Right? Like they're getting.
Imagine if the Vikings like beat the 49ers or something in a playoff game. That'd be so absurd. I mean, it could happen, I guess.
No, that could, like, they could do that. I just don't see them going on a long run. But yeah, it almost has to be like it's different where I like in playoff drafts, I would mix my AFC teams, but I would really have a narrow NFC team list as far as like Super Bowl contenders between.
Yeah, I'm pretty much all Lions, Eagles, Packers in these playoff contests. Although I think it would not surprise me at all if the 49ers go on a mini run here and end up being the division winner.
Yeah, I mean, winnable division. And I like, could the Cardinals pull some miracle and get to the championship game? Sure. But they feel, you know, like they're not a complete team. Let's move on to tight end.
All right, the tight end advance rates. I guess they're all varying degrees of not great. Who's the tight end you wanted? Jonnu Smith, I guess. Oh, Bowers. I mean, Bowers is tight end.
Kittle missed the game.
I should have just kept the 100. I should have just kept $100 until the season ended for Bowers versus Kincaid.
What was the bet again? Was it total fantasy points or touchdowns?
No, touchdowns. You said Bowers is not going to score enough touchdowns because his team is too bad.
Well, tough go, missing several games, but yeah, it looks like going to lose that one. Trey McBride, Mark Andrews shares, by the way. Like I saw some optimism about him, looking a little bit dead here. Where
it's all touchdowns. It's all, so any game where Mark Andrews does not generate a touchdown, he is going to be bad. Any game where he generates a touchdown, he is going to be good. There are two reasons for that. Obviously, the first is like the barrier for scoring a tight end is lower. But the other thing is that he is so connected to Lamar because of where they were drafted. Like, it's crazy.
No, yeah. That was one of the most obvious bad overdrafted correlations where like Lamar and Zay Flowers compared to Lamar and Andrews is absurd. The combo.
So like Lamar and Mark Andrews are paired combinatorically almost half of the total teams they're on.
And look at Lamar and Flowers. Just show them that. Like, that was like such an obvious, like, what if I just pull Lamar up and get a different combo.
Like literally,
everybody else.
like 1/3 of the ownership.
Yeah, and a lot of those probably didn't force it. They only did it when Flowers fell.
Yeah.
From the 3-4.
This goes to show you the power of a spike week. By the way, Goddard is still living
A cheap spike week
off of that spike. What was it, week 2 or week 3? 10 for 160 and a touchdown or whatever.
He didn't even score a touchdown that week. I think
he didn't even score. He scored a touchdown when he came back, right? He
scored a touchdown recently. Yeah, but the bigger thing about Andrews though is not like obviously scoring touchdowns is good, but he is just not.
He's not a full-time player.
No, he's not being used the same, right? Like Likely, I think ran a little bit more routes and looked good. And then Deontay Johnson is going to get worked in, and that will.
I think no. Deontay Johnson is a bad player with a bad attitude who is going to end up financially rewarding the Ravens more than they paid for him. They're going to get more in compensation than they paid for him, and I think the Panthers were basically just sick of it sounded like he had a bad attitude. Like it sounded like they just didn't want him there. Yeah, this is the other thing. Is Goddard is this is a good one.
It's correlation with Hurts going off.
Goddard on his own, 100% drafted, 21.27 advance rate, but without Jalen Hurts, still okay. Never mind. That is a lot higher than I thought. That is,
and he has bad week 17 correlation with like CeeDee Lamb.
Let's check these just while we're here, just while I've got the tool up. Christian Watson, or no Deshaun Watson. So let's first check Judy.
That was a little Freudian slip of Davis trying to wish cast Dontavian Wicks by going no Christian Watson.
Yeah. 23% advance rate for Jerry Judy without Watson.
I mean, Deontay's going to run more than 6 routes, though. He's going to get up to like...
What has he done to deserve that he should play more than Nelson Aguilar?
He was traded for, and it's Nelson Aguilar. So he's eventually going to at least be sharing the role with Aguilar. Like, I think he'll still be behind Bateman.
I really don't think so.
I don't think he'll be fantasy relevant just because there's only one football, but he's going to, he's going to have a week, I think.
How many Tillman, no Watson teams are there? 1,462 Tillman, no Watson. Let me tell you, Tillman, no Watson, that is one of the top 5 combinations I think I would want to have right now. No cap. Like I think Tillman, no Watson
isn't a big deal, as long as you have like either one elite quarterback or one.
How many Tillman, Knicks, no Watson teams? All right. Wakey. I know. And this is a long time. I was going to say I'd buy this team, but it's got Aaron Rodgers on it.
I might have a Tillman, no Watson. Let's see.
Tillman, no, with Knicks?
No, I have a Tillman, no Watson. I don't think the team is.
Ooh. That's so funny how that's bifurcated. You literally have one in first and one in 12th. Okay. Burrow and Chase, smash. Lawrence and Kirk, those are zeros now. Not great. Mayfield and Evans, not Godwin.
Is Lawrence a 0? I thought he could, that's what I thought. And then I thought it was like he's going to return. They might just shut him down.
Yeah. So I heard he might have a surgery on this shoulder. I read that. We've got.
About to get Mike Evans back too is nice.
Well, I was going to say you have an entirely live running back room. Chase, Evans, Kirk is dead. Thielen is dead-ish.
We get tight end.
Musgrave is dead. Dulcich is dead. All right. It's the
Jonnu show at tight end. That Jonnu Tillman correlation, man. Week 17.
And he has already had his bye week. My man, welcome to the laid off gang. It's not a fun place to be, but thanks for hanging out. Have we talked about Jauan Jennings yet? No, we've not talked about Jauan Jennings yet. Man, Liam, I got to be honest. I could not be more stunned by this Jauan Jennings thing because
his advance rate only being 30% is shocking.
Well, I mean, I don't know how do you say this politically. People always hate when I say shit like this, but probably a lot of bad guys were drafting Jennings because he is the
Oh, people
archetype
hate
of
this. They hate
he's
this. Yeah,
he's the
it's true.
he's the archetype of a player that is a bad pick. He is a guy who can't earn volume despite being on the field all the time. Like the idea, like Jauan Jennings has been in the NFL for 4 seasons.
He was the
He has
platonic
played.
ideal of like Khalif Raymond, and it turns out he's actually like Brandon Ayuk.
He's like Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Like that is the role that Tim Patrick, good comp.
Tim Patrick, by the
And
way, full-time player on the Lions.
yes. So I will give the Jauan Jennings people this. This is something that could have been some signal that I chose to ignore, which is that a disproportionate amount of Jauan Jennings targets forever since he was a rookie has come on third downs. So what you could extrapolate from that would be Kyle Shanahan and or Jimmy Garoppolo and or Brock Purdy really trust this guy, really thinks that he can run routes in high leverage situations. Yes, he is literally Demarcus Robinson,
I think it's
but he's
that
great. He's a great player.
he got a pretty nice contract this offseason and that he had a good Super Bowl game. And so
yeah, he was in the optimal for the gauntlet. That definitely matters, no doubt about it.
And so like there was signal that he could play, and he's not the same body type of Khalif Raymond where it's like
no, he's a big guy.
Slot. He's a big dude who, he could have easily been Mac Hollins, where it's like, okay, good for you.
He was Mac Hollins.
He really was Mac Hollins until he just turned like I don't know, man. Like maybe he's doing stem cell therapy or something in the offseason.
No, I think the answer is he's kind of always been good, but like this dude, I mean, so I just sorted by snap percentage on Pro Football Reference. Look at all these games where he played a bunch of snaps and did nothing.
Well, and the bigger thing too is that Debo is no longer good, I think, is part of what's happening.
That's the bigger part of it. I agree.
Jennings like the only guy who Purdy trusts.
The Pearsall injury, I honestly had forgotten entirely about Pearsall. Like,
yeah, I just like I was
the
like,
fourth wide receiver on the team.
Yeah, I mean the Pearsall gunshot wound. But then like what was the process? It was like a regular season play, with like him coming back.
It was a chaos play.
No, it was a chaos play, and that alone makes it a decent stab. But it wasn't a stab I was making.
How many?
Let's do the we
958.
Did we have any season-ending injuries this past week or significant injuries?
Did we have any season-ending injuries?
I don't think we did. Chat, remind us if anyone got hurt, because I wanted to do the thing where we update how many advancing live teams are there.
6th offensive weapon. It's like, look, I don't let me, who didn't draft any of this guy, who's obviously Gabe Davis. Don't let me, who obviously did not draft a bunch of the league-winning guys, like don't let me tell you that you're bad for if you drafted Jennings. I just got to say, in a season where Jauan Jennings is who you need, I'm never going to get there. Like if, I don't know, who's going to be the comp?
I don't think it's a bad pick to try to profit off of chaos. I think it's a bad pick to try to draft like 80% of, but I think he's a perfectly me drafting Tillman was the same thing.
Xavier Worthy did retire after the first quarter, so does he count?
But no, like drafting Cedric Tillman, which like I did 3 times, was essentially the same thing.
The same thing.
It was a little different because it was ambiguous who the wide receiver 3 was.
No, it's not. It's not that different.
Yeah. Let's do the thing where we just plug in all the dead players and see how many are advancing. Gabe, Shaheed.
Let me pull up. If I pull up 2024 fantasy football ADP, it will be a little bit easier.
I think we can get a lot though. If you Shaheed, Olave, I'm chopping up for the year.
Yeah, he's done.
Christian Kirk.
Wait, hold on. I did this too soon. Pat Pat told us not to do this.
Yeah, it takes a while to populate. You just put them all in there and then do it.
Okay, let this run, and then we will do it again.
Someone says Waddle. Yeah,
Waddle basically counts.
Waddle and Debo, I think, are legitimately the two worst non-injured picks due to
Debo at least had one spike. Waddle's at 0 spikes. Waddle's touchdown
he had
game,
a good first week.
He had less than 20 yards in his touchdown game. All right. Okay. Rice, Godwin, Diggs, Gabe Davis,
Zach Moss, Christian Kirk,
Olave, Moss, Kirk. I'm gonna put Trevor Lawrence on here as well.
Yeah, that's fine. Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson.
Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson,
Brandon Ayuk.
ETN's
playing.
Yeah, for the purposes of this, we literally mean no points.
You are out for the year.
You are out for the year. You are not generating any more points. Yeah, Pittman basically is a 0. I would put it's pretty close.
No, you can't do that. I know we're missing some more.
Pacheco is technically back.
Is he? I don't know.
Well, technically, he is going to be active this week. I don't think he's going to generate.
Oh, Hollywood. I would put Hollywood on this.
Yes, Hollywood. You're not getting any points.
Hollywood.
Yes, great. Dead, not Davis dead, where a guy just got 4 points 1 week. Roman Wilson is dead.
He actually is, I think, out for the year.
Yeah, I think he is.
What's the deal? Yeah, okay, Kincaid. Coming from the Debo guy, I don't want to hear it. You drafted a dead pick in the second round. Rondale Moore, but a 20, I don't count.
Well, it's buddy, that counts for my teams. Trust me.
No, it doesn't, because if you have an advancing team and your only 0 is Rondale Moore, you don't that's not a bad team. That's a pretty good team just to have a dead 18-round pick. That's not the same thing as losing Brandon Ayuk in the second round. Zamir White is hurt again, but not out for the year technically.
I mean, if you drafted Zamir White, you're not showing up in the advancing list.
Olave is already on this list. Musgrave. Yeah, we got him confirmed out, right?
Yeah.
Zach Moss is already on the list.
Kendre.
No, he's not out because the rumor there is that, or it's not even a rumor, I think this is confirmed, that the coaching staff was confused why they put him, Dennis Allen hated him so much that he didn't need to go on IR, and they did anyways. Elijah Mitchell, that's a good one.
Elijah Mitchell is a good one.
Marshawn Lloyd, I don't know what's going on there with the appendicitis.
Marshawn Lloyd.
Just so unlucky, man.
Yeah. You wake up with
don't put Lloyd. JJ's a good one. Roschon Johnson is a smash pick. He's not a 0.
The point of this exercise is very simple: to find out how many teams you have who are that are alive.
To see what the field is advancing. Yeah, that has healthy teams. Right?
Eric All, sure, we could put Eric All on there.
All right, run it.
There's because I don't want to click it until we are confident that we've got it.
You should, for the point of this exercise, you should really move Rondale Moore and Eric All. Not that it's gonna filter out 25 teams.
All right. Well, whatever. I'm doing it already. All right. So let's run it.
Kind of crazy.
Chase Claypool.
The only running back injury we threw up there was Zach Moss this whole year.
Ty Chandler is a 0, but not technically.
So we are looking at 36K live teams. Hold on, don't do anything. And there is 112K advancing teams. So we are down to about, last week we were about 50% of the field having an advancing guy, but we didn't include Trevor and Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at, a little over
how does
a
this
third?
A 21.6% advance rate if you don't have these guys. Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
There's 112K advancing teams, so I guess I'll just do the math. 34 divided by 112. 30% of the field has a healthy advancing playoff team.
Yeah, mathology in the deposit.
Dude, I would really not be I love mythology, but I would not be having a great time.
If you were first place this season. Oh,
No, I
Daniel
would not.
Jones. That's a very
Daniel Jones.
There you go. Daniel Jones. See, it's not too guys, we keep let's keep it going. While I update the timestamp here. I don't know who
Ty
else should we
Chandler
add to this
drafters are
list?
running pretty pure because they're like, Ray Davis has been okay, who was priced by him. The other Miami running back was priced next to him. I'm missing his name right now, but he's like really only
Jalen Wright.
Chuba's like smashed at the same cost of Ty
Yeah,
Chandler.
DJ Shark is
not out for the year.
They made him a healthy scratch.
Yes, but like, is that health related?
He played a snap the week before. Yeah, Brooks ended up being like the worst pick on the board, basically.
I mean, you can't say that when he's like an 11th round pick, and there's guys like Waddle tanking teams.
Buddy, Jonathan Brooks had an ADP right next to Alvin Kamara.
No.
Yes. Fact check.
No,
true.
No, he was way more close to like Kamara was far closer to like the 6-7. Pull up a bunch of boards.
I'll just pull up the actual ADP.
Just pull up a couple boards.
I'll just pull up the actual ADP so we can simply fact check it.
I think the visual representation though will show you that. Okay, I got a draft board here. Mythology's draft board. Kamara pick 7-6. Jonathan Brooks pick 8-11. So a full round cheaper.
So a random draft board versus the aggregate of all of it.
Well, I do like 1,000 drafts over the offseason, so I do recall where the players go usually.
I'm tilting so hard when my command F doesn't work.
Jonathan Brooks was going more close to guys like Tony Pollard, Chase Brown.
RB 29, yeah, right next to Chase Brown.
Yeah,
he did fall though. He was close to Kamara at one point, but he did.
He opened very expensive, but he closed closer to the 9-10 turn.
All right, let's check Chess Liam live teams. You are advancing 6 of 27 of your players with 6.
They probably all have something I really like, and for people who drafted over the course of the summer, like I did, I really like to see the a May team versus a June team versus a July team versus August team. Click on some of these bad boys. I'm not done.
Let's check some of the ones that are close. This one's 26 points behind.
This team I lost internet. This one I lost internet connection and autoed Mahomes, and then Hollywood went, Worthy went, Kelsey went, and so that's why I got Justin Watson at the end here.
And he contributed.
Then I had Chase and Nico. And I was like, well, whatever. Like, I'm just going to take Joe Burrow anyways, even though I don't need him. Yeah. And thank God I did, because this team might advance, but it's not a good team. It is Chase, Nico, Mike Evans is fun if it makes it, but
you never want to click on a team that's close to advancing and then checking Zamir White. You never ever want that.
Running back room too thin. Is this an advancing team or close to one?
Close to advancing team.
Yeah. Malachi Corley, no longer a 0.
No longer a 0. What about this one right here? A Richardson team. A Richardson Downs team.
I remember Kelsey this one.
And Andrews.
Click on this draft board because I'm pretty sure I got Kamara Kamara mega fell in this one.
8-6.
Yeah.
After Zamir White. You were probably about to take Zamir White.
That was a very rare fall of Kamara to get him there. I don't know, because Bijan and London going on by.
Yeah, not great.
DJ Moore looking more alive.
Big spot for Kelsey this week.
We talked about Josh Downs being dead. Not the case with Richardson. He had a good game. It's still gonna be it's gonna be volatile.
It's gonna be very volatile. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, buddy, you're not alone, because while everyone else who was drafting Jauan Jennings, I was just saying, you know what? Jauan Jennings drafters, you're idiots. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the 5th round rookie on the New England Patriots. And that's why I'm a good drafter.
I think there's a lesson with Austin Eckler where, he was like, there was an obvious thing to point to last year with him being bad, which is the high ankle sprain he suffered week 3. And then not only that, but then you get Cliff Kingsbury, who we know like loves the running back, etc., loves this West Coast thing. So feels bad not to have more Eckler and to be off him. This team, like, dude, so many bad late round running back picks, like Gibson and Foreman being on this team is a total mood killer. Brandon Cook's coming back, dude.
Burton, Odell, Malik, Walker.
Is this team advancing?
No, but it's close. It's close.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna.
I bet I have a very thin segment of these just because there are so many Chiefs here. Yeah.
You have 4 teams though. That's
38. Probably expected to get 2 more of these through.
What is
highest
your
scoring one
this week?
Jesus Christ, dude. I mean, this is so bad. Oh, it's a Barkley team. Of course, it's a Barkley team. Yeah.
And
Levis. I think I drafted this on the Swolecast. Pretty sure I drafted this on the Swolecast. It was a themed team. It was the Mayo team where I had to take Will Levis and Drake May. Thank God I got Barkley there. Lamb, Neighbors, Cooper, Worthy, JSN, Jalen Polk, Marvin Mims.
I'm at 23 teams this week.
It is a Swolecast draft. Yeah, that's what I thought.
It says I'm expected to advance 20. I could see myself losing like 5 or 6 teams this week with the buys, just because I have a lot of Chase Brown carrying the boat, Jamar Chase, the Bills guys.
Dude, I know so much ball. Look at this, a Joe Mixon team. The Libs are sick, man. The Libs fucking hate to see me drafting Joe Mixon.
Look up my Herbert team with like, I have a team with like the nut running backs and like all the wide receivers are so. It's like Mixon, Achane. It's just put in Herbert and Deshaun Watson because it's a single Herbert team now. Yeah, there you go. That'll show it. Look at this team, barely advancing. It's got Bijan, Achane, Kyron, Mixon.
You nutted out at running back.
And then this was actually a stream one too, where all my early wide receivers were good picks and all the late ones were not. Where it's like Dortch, Chark, Whittington, essential zeros. Trey McBride and Kincaid at tight end, so good there. Hit the lottery to go Ladd, Addison, Shakir, Shaheed until he was hurt, Judy, Downs. So like the best bad team. It's like a very good, very bad team.
Yeah. I mean, let me tell you in general, I would have no interest in turning it up to the playoff. Like, obviously, it'd be great to advance these type of teams, but these type of teams are going to be smashing. Like Joe Mixon, good running back to Justin Herbert, Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey is going to be like that combo of players. Like what is the advance rate of Herbert, Quentin Johnston, and Ladd McConkey stacks? Like,
dude, QJ scored another uncovered touchdown. Just insane.
If I remove Ladd, just Herbert and Quentin Johnston, knowing nothing else, 22% advance rate.
I would want Herbert. QJ's whatever. Like he's a good piece to have. He is balling out. But no, he's not like the tough thing is like so many of the wide receiver picks priced around QJ are zeros. So it's like, who would you? I'd rather have QJ than a zero. Like what is the What is the guy?
I mean, buddy, at this point, I would just like to have a team that generates
like Andre Yoshibas, Luke McCaffrey. Like these are guys running routes, but you're like, nah, I'd rather have QJ. Trey Tucker.
What's the Andre Yoshibas advance rate?
It's gonna be very high because it correlates with
20. Andre Yoshi here. This is a weird one. Andre Yoshibas, no Burrow, 14%. Yeah. Ooh, Nick Sutton. That is a good one. That is a very good one. Okay.
I'm gonna grab some water, Davis. Hold us down.
Let's check my advance rates holistically. So I'm up to 14 advancing teams. Could be better, could be worse, has been has been a lot worse. Expected to basically be about the same. This one's 9 points back. We just looked at this one. This one is 0.36 points back. It's got Mahomes and May. It is a Rashee Rice team. But Cook, Stevenson, B-Rob, Chase Brown, Ray Davis, Braylon Allen. So at least I'm going to have running backs alive this week. Wilson is probably close to a 0, just given the state of the season. London's on bye. Shaheed is dead. Wicks is basically dead. Burton's basically dead. Baker's basically dead. Maybe I get a Knox. Are the Bills on bye this week? Or the Bills already have their bye? The Bills are on bye this week. So this team is not great. This one's 6 points behind. Mahomes and Goff. St. Brown, of course. It's a Rashee Rice team. Watson, Wicks, McMillan, Tolbert. So, like, guys, technically alive. A-Chain and Montgomery. Rico Dowdle. This is a Jordan Mason team, so I was using a ton of those Jordan Masons. Was using a lot, using 96 points of the Jordan Mason stuff. So that team is looking pretty thin.
It's so funny that not only are we getting no running back injuries, but the quarterback injuries are killing some of the good wide receiver picks too. Malik Neighbors now looking way worse. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr., dude, the run out for him would be so pure if we get Trevor back. No Kirk. No Gabe Davis now. It's just him and Evan Ingram. ETN's terrible all of a sudden. I drafted a lot of ETN. One of the only bad early running back picks. Such a literally.
I'd trade ETN in right now for every Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown team. So
he's not a 0. That is true, but he is an effective 0, a theoretical 0.
He is an effective.
Rico Dowdle too. Like the run out, so nice, only to have no Dak Prescott. DJ Moore looking way more live. Same with Roma Dunze. The Bears ran 3 wide receiver sets at like a season high.
Man, I have a bunch of teams that if the Chiefs could just go on a very small run, like the smallest run possible, like if the Chiefs could just score 28 points a game for a month. Some of these could get there. I mean, obviously, none of them are going to get there, but boy, would it be nice. Like, why can't this team advance? It won't advance, but it sure could. Like, it would be fun if it did.
What's your take on this whiplash with Javonte Williams and what was the fake out with Audric Estime?
Sean Payton is just a dick, man. That's all it is. Sean Payton is a dick. Sean Payton hates all these guys. He hates Jaleel. He hates Javonte. Marvin Mims is just getting straight like running backfield. Like he's getting some gadget stuff, but also just got a couple like just real straight up running attempts.
Jamar Chase is getting used a lot more in the backfield too since Moss went down, which is helping. I wonder if we see more like Chase Brown. Obviously, a smash will continue to smash, but I think it's feasible we get some more Khalil Herbert after the bye. But at the same time, the Bengals, like, maybe they just feel like they can't take that risk since it's so, they cannot lose another game.
They can't lose another game. What would be your personal feelings with your bags if they lose that Steelers game? Like, what's your perspective if they lose that Steelers game?
I don't really agree that like the Bengals fantasy pieces will just like die if they're out of the, like, I think they're still going to. It's
the contract situation with Higgins and Chase. No, both of them. Chase did not sign a deal. They both do not have contract situations resolved. Why would you play? I mean, look, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase have put on film what needs to be put on film.
Yeah.
Like no one is going into this offseason being like, oh, we can't pay T. Higgins. Like T. Higgins is going to get his money. Chase is going to get his money, if not from the Bengals, from someone. Why, if they are eliminated from playoff contention, why are they playing?
I think Ben Johnson's going there next year.
So I'd love to agree with you. It would be awesome. Here's the issue. The Bengals are the cheapest team in football. They will not pay 2 coaches at the same time. Look how long Marvin Lewis stayed there.
Yeah, but like, okay, that's a data point of 1. This is like the same parroted talking point where it's like like back when the Patriots were no longer the Patriots with like Tom Brady out of here, people are like, oh, the Pats always win the division because that's occurred 20 years in the past. And it's like, okay, well
what's your data point of the Bengals choosing to not do the cheap thing?
I just think they want to, like, they'll choose to want to win the Super Bowl, and they'll choose to want to have the best head coach they can, and they're not going to necessarily operate they did 20, a decade, 2 decades ago.
I just don't. Well, it's the same people in charge, man.
Yeah, but I just
I don't really think
they not like have regrets for the past, and I don't know. Like, you could say Zach Taylor is getting pretty unlucky. To have like similar to how the Bills were like 5-5 last year at a point. But I just, kind of just wish casting Ben there. I think if you're Ben, you would firmly want to go to the Bengals. I don't agree with people who are like,
why didn't they extend Chase, or why didn't they sign Higgins if that is how they feel? If they want to win a Super Bowl, why didn't they do those things?
Got to get rid of Coach Taylor.
I think they kind of like Coach Taylor.
I don't know, dude. He's very uninspiring.
Yeah, he went woke in their, not the last game, but the game before that. They were like going for it on 4th down a ton and like being pretty aggressive. I don't know. I mean, I think he's a bad coach, but I don't think they're going to fire him.
Yeah, they might not.
And T. Higgins is going to make $1 billion to be a New England Patriot.
Yeah, but like maybe the Bengals come to their senses on that after Higgins is just like proving himself week after week.
Buddy, don't let me get hot on this team. Look at this team, bro. Don't let this McCaffrey team get hot. And I got the Lamar Deontay Johnson stack. The libs never saw it coming, dude.
CMC, all my CMC teams are dead.
All right, let's do the Chesley search. So
my Puka team is like my hope here. My advancing Puka team is the first team I drafted after the NFL schedule dropped, so it has like a lot of like correlation.
Look at this. This is crazy.
No, I know that's so unlucky.
All these teams are advancing, and this one is 60 points back.
And that's the very rare Bijan Puka correlation, Also, the reason why it's like that somewhat is because I'm assuming that you needed like some of the low advancing teams were drafted in May, where the barrier to advance was just lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at 23 right now, but I don't have many teams that are close and not advancing. And I do have some advancing teams that are close to not. So I think I'll lose a couple. Can't wait for the playoffs though, man.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I'm just done dealing with any of this. So, like, show me how much money I make in the end. I'm so fucking sick of it. The whole season was ruined for me. Like what can you do?
It might feel bad, like showing up with 15 teams, but if you can get like 2 semifinal teams, the max anyone will have is like 6. Like if someone ran really, really pure. So.
That's not true, dude. If FFB Wizard just runs hot in week 15, brother, he's going all the way to the top, man.
That would be extremely unlikely, right? Because I think he has a lot of zeros. Like he's got like I was talking about to start the show, where he's probably got like the Mixons of the world. So he's got the stars, but I don't know how
advancing 82 teams. I think his exposures are crazy though. Like
he's in some of the high stakes teams. I did.
Yeah,
too.
like this. Like he like. I mean, he's pretty
very
thin.
Very, very fragile, right? Where he could have the week of his life. Daniel Jones done.
Yeah.
You got
I mean,
Mooney,
yeah, like to be
Odell,
honest, here's the question.
Odell, Jelani Woods. This showcases the idea that like his teams are top heavy. It's going to advance a lot, but unless the guys getting him there, which are inherently the chalk pieces anyways, go off, he's probably not going to have that many teams week 16. You or I could have more. You know, that's the game that's how the game works. Eckler, though, is a strong one, I would say. I would just look at some of click on some of his teams rather than this.
Yeah. All right, we'll look up the
I do
FFP
really like
Wizard.
though that a guy named FF Wizard is leading the way. That's just fun. So just click on some of these.
Just look at all these teams. Let's look at one that's close.
Let's look at some of the teams that are advancing.
This will be a good. This is the best content. People hate this. They get so mad about this when I look at the teams and say I wouldn't buy them and I think they're bad.
Okay,
Tua, Cousins,
so
Darnold.
like Dobbs, Mike Williams, Wandale, Mims. Like, okay, 4 bad picks on that top team. So smash running back group. You can only 3 can hit your roster. Fine quarterback group. Njoku makes it a fine tight end group. But then Chase Hopkins, and it's like, if they aren't pushing you past, I don't think, Wandale, Mims, Big Mike. Although Big Mike is running routes, so he has a chance. Like, Dobbs has a chance, but he's Dobbs. Click on some other ones.
I mean, it's all going to be the same team. So it's all
it's out. Dobbs,
the same team.
Dobbs again. Shaheed out. QJ.
If this
QJ's
is what
not
it takes,
to continue to run pure. So
yeah. I mean, look, if this is what it takes to win this year, then I am ineligible to win, and that is just fine by me. It's just like whatever. It is what it is. I was never going to win a best ball season where the key to winning was drafting wide receivers who don't score points.
Well, I mean, this is what's advancing, bro. That's not what wins. So I don't know why you think you can't win when. You got to get one in the finals or run pure. Like that's really,
I guess that is the name of the game. But the
easiest
easiest way
you win. It's
the
not
easiest
advanced.
way to get one the easiest way to get one in the finals is to have a bunch of teams get there. Like
mathematical expectation would have FB Wizard, assuming that everything's average, showing up with this amount of teams, which is how many teams is it?
Like
80?
82, I think.
Yeah, I think on average he'll get like 1.3 teams to the finals. And that's assuming that you're like, your exposures are balanced. That's not the case here, right? This is he will have 25 teams in the finals, or he will have 0 teams in the semifinals. Like that's like, I don't think this is a great.
Tell you what, that is a trade that I would make.
It doesn't improve your win equity though. Showing up with the same team in the finals, like it's gonna feel really good if you could ever have a year where you go like 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, like. But that
it does increase your win equity just because you have more teams there. That
having more teams, yes, but duping yourself, no. You don't want to literally dupe yourself with many of the same players, right? Like, so him like varying some of his later, like going narrow on Derrick Henry, Kamara, that's fine. But he should have been varying his later round selections so that he can show up with a different contexture rather than hammering Jelani Woods, hammering, the same late round picks where it's just very, very narrow.
Sure.
I'm not hating on the Wiz. I don't know the Wiz, right? Like I don't hate this man or like this man.
Yeah, I'm sure he feels very good about where he's at. I would trade portfolios with him in a moment.
Hell yeah, you would feel good about advancing 80 teams.
Looking at these individual teams, like a Tua Janu Daniel Jones, Wandale, Russell Wilson, uncorrelated team would not have been in my top million options of a team. I could have never drafted this specific team. There's nothing that could have happened to me in the last 8 months of my life that could have got me
Well,
to draft
everything's
this team.
correlated. He does have 3 stacks here.
Who's with Russ? Oh, Pickens.
Yeah. No, but like what is unnecessary is to show up on every team with Wandale, Mims, where you should just like, my advice to anyone trying to take down this insane contest is what Wizard did here is what other people have done in the past, where they have like a core group of guys, right? But ideally, when you have a core group of guys and you're right on that core, you want to vary what you bring with that core, right? You want the core to get you to the playoffs, and then you want to have a bunch of different combinations for, trying to just get one to win you week 17. You don't want to have the core and then also have the same core in the late round. So inherently you're just not like,
yeah, that's the Jacquard tree stuff from Legendary Upside. It's like, sure, if you
it's like, it's the same thing hit him with the gritty did, just like more successful and maybe less.
All right, so here's a good example. Mathology is advancing only 22 teams. So his highest scoring team.
So sick to be showing one, right?
Yeah, very sick. So he's got Hurts and Barkley. He's got
I would take my teams, but
he's got Jaden Daniels and Zach Ertz. His only real zero is Johnny Wilson, and even he technically is alive. Like Johnny Wilson is technically alive. So let's just go click on one of his other random advancing teams. Literally zero overlap in players. Does not have. Oh yeah, Josh Downs on both teams, and this is a Rushy Rice team. But
anyone who drafted relatively zero RB and is advancing around 25 teams inherently has a diversified portfolio, because it means you weren't hammering, like Mixon, you weren't hammering Chuba. Otherwise, you'd have more teams, right? So yeah, like me in Mathology.
Look, it's a simple process. You just need to draft the league winners. You just need to draft the league winners on every team, but you also need to do it in a diversified way so that you have unique teams. Like, very, very simple.
Right. Like, I mean, like Cedric Tillman and Jauan Jennings proves like it is kind of like to point to what I'm trying to say here, where taking that gamble on different potential upside 18th round picks is a lot more valuable than hammering the same guy, unless that guy is like Kyren Williams or Puka Nacua, right? When that guy is Marvin Mims, it's like, okay, you just put all your eggs in one basket. And maybe you thought that guy was Puka, but I don't think it's ideal for trying to win, in my opinion.
Yeah. I've had a couple good weekly winners teams, but it does not matter at all. So I've had a couple, like I had like a Goff Gibbs St. Brown team last week, like, but it does not matter. Yeah, this is not true. It's just not in this game. This is best ball is a theory contest, not a player takes contest. If you like player takes, DFS is a better game for player takes.
It is a player take contest in some sense.
In advancing, not
in advancing,
not really
and like me hammering Chris Carson and Rashad Penny was me player taking the Lions had a bad defense the year I won BBM2, right? So there is player takes within it, but there's just like, I don't know. I personally wouldn't want to 150 the same player take on all my teams. I would want to pretty spread it out.
I mean, I basically did player take the same takes. They were just the wrong ones.
You did. Yes, you did player take heavier, I think. I don't know what your overall exposure is.
So like I just like, this is wrong. Like okay.
Stop pulling up these comments.
If Alvin Kamara turned his ankle today, in practice, Kendre Miller could very easily be the highest scoring fantasy player from weeks 15, 16, and 17. You know,
Yes, that is obvious to me, and it's not really worth debating anyone who disagrees that.
The interesting thing that has become clear to me in doing all this content has been, even if the field is not full of idiots anymore, which I don't think it is. I think like you could just look at very simple stuff like the correlation between Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith. Or oh no, it's CD and Devonta Smith and CD Lamb are
No,
on.
I think I know what you're saying, and I agree. I think best ball will be alive and well for a while. There invariably will be more of the field just taking rankings from, myself, yourself, ETR, whoever.
What I'm saying is that people can't help themselves but
agree.
be bad. So even if they have the base level data of knowing how to properly play the game, they can't help themselves but learn the wrong lesson and play in an improper way. And I include myself in that.
Yeah, it's hard to learn the right lesson.
Like a great example of this was the Hollywood Brown thing. When Hollywood Brown injured his shoulder, that should have been like a warrant, like a giant alarm should have started going off in my head that Justin Watson was going to be a starting wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. What happened the last time Justin Watson was a starting wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs? They fucking ran the ball a billion times a game, and Mahomes was awful. But I basically pretended like it didn't matter.
It is hard when you were drafting a guy in the 5th round a lot, like you were with Hollywood, and then you see him there in like the 9th round, and you're like, well, do I believe the take I had earlier in the year, or do I believe the new news is so noteworthy? I myself was not drafting Hollywood in the 5th, but I did draft some in the 9th, right? Because I think that's simply like the responsible thing to do, where I didn't draft a lot of him. But like, okay, if he wasn't out for the year, getting 9th round Hollywood sounds valuable when most of the field has him in the 5th round. And it's really hard when you were taking the guy to then be like,
stop
no,
taking him.
To be like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, okay, I've already packed my bags. He's a worse pick now, etc. Yeah, Jalen Warren hamstring, that's a good one, Betts. I remember Betts from OG competing with him in the DraftKings high stakes here.
Yeah. Hollywood, I don't think Hollywood will be a Chief next year, because I think the wide receiver market is going to be so thirsty that someone's going to give him more money. I think that's kind of my read. What do you think about that?
No, I think he'll be a Chief next year, unless he's like done.
Where's and this is obviously the other frustrating thing is like that's kind of one of my big things is I don't take players who are already.
Well, let's talk about that, because here are the guys who went down in price.
Hopkins,
due to injury. Hopkins, who
is going to end up being a win, kind of by
looks
hook
like
or by
a league
crook.
winner. Addison, it was a little bit injury, but it was also like the looming suspension that is still coming. Like that one, I don't know. Josh Downs, that one is a major win to buy that.
Downs is huge.
Major win. Rashid Shaheed was a major win when he started to drop due to injury. He got hurt. I don't know if you could say that's because he was injured early in the year. No, I think that's just randomness. Who else? Those were the big ones that came to my mind.
Moss was injured in the preseason, right?
Moss did not go down because of injury. Moss went down because of
Chase he wasn't the starter anymore.
Hype, which is a reminder that like risers don't rise.
Honestly, like I kind of feel the same way. Like I mean, look, I would do anything to trade in my Hollywood stuff. Like the Hollywood stuff is the biggest glaring mistakes that I was making.
I think, yeah, like I understand John's point here, but like you show up with the Puka team against the Cardinals week 17 and why did I win BBM2? Because there were only 6 Jamar Chase teams in the BBM2 finals, right? Yeah. The reason is because T. Higgins went for like 40 points week 16 and Chase went for like 13. And so everybody in the BBM2 finals had Mark Andrews over 50%, Cooper Kupp over 50%, T. Higgins over 50%, Jamar Chase 6 teams out of 160, right? So that was obviously just like luck that I had a complete enough team that scored well and probably like a lower scoring pod in week 16. But Chase is like the sole, like you can point to that, being like, having the guy who scored 50 on 6 teams is a reason I won, right? And so Puka Nacua is drawing very live to be that guy. He's on 7% of the teams. You're going to show up to the Cardinals. Could he not have 3 touchdowns, 150 yards, and just inherently only be on 4 or 5 teams?
This is the whole point of the game. You want to show up with very high ceiling players.
What's up with you and James Young trying to get in arguments all day?
Well, I'm trying to provide my perspective, which is that I don't want to show up with the absolute highest owned guys. I don't think that's the point of the game.
No. I mean, yeah, that's just like, of course you want a low owned guy to be the reason. In fact, someone needs to be like, you just can't win with all chalk, right?
Yeah.
That they're on all the teams. Unless you're like, I don't know, unless you're like the only team to have them all.
Do you want to do a way too early wild card, or do you want to do a dog bowl?
I'd do either.
Let's do a way too freaking dude. They'd fix the permissions thing. I hadn't gotten that error all week. All right, you got to scroll over so far to get there. There we go. All right, way too early wild card, and
what was the highest ownership last year?
Really
Mostert easily.
Mostert and A-Chain were both really high.
And again, the benefit of the high ownership guys is not them in themselves, even though they are good fantasy picks. Yeah. It's who you can drag because of those guys. So when you can show up with a Puka Nacua because of them, when you can show up with a Christian McCaffrey because of them, when you can show up with, whatever, Nico Collins because of them. Nico is still the guy I would most want to show up to week 17 with, as far as just like clear smash spot if he's healthy.
McCaffrey, dude. McCaffrey.
No, like I would much rather have Nico against the Ravens than McCaffrey against the Lions. McCaffrey good, but as far as like hitting 40 points and winning you the contest, I feel very good about Nico's chances there.
Sure. All right. Well, are we taking Josh
Nico?
Allen at?
I got 4 Nico teams.
This is 4 Nico teams that are live.
I have 4 that are advancing and 1 or 2 in the mix. This is my first time looking at the ADPs. Gonna have rankings up today or tomorrow.
Contest is almost full, brother.
Well, for the bigger ones, these are the little appetizers. Let's see what the field's doing here. So, I mean, Lions drawing very likely to get the bye. It is 2 out of 6 advance, though. Yeah, I think we rip Josh, right?
Yeah, I take Josh here. You either take Josh, or you set up Lamar and Flowers, or Lamar and AJ Brown, or Hurts and AJ Brown. Yeah, I kind of think that's the move at the turn, basically.
Well, in your dream when you draft the Bills is that they don't get the 1 seed, yet they make the Super Bowl.
Correct. Yeah, I mean that's the Bills and the Eagles are like the 2 best teams in the contest.
I would take AJ Brown. Yeah, like I think Josh and AJ Brown is a pretty nutted start.
It is. That is probably. Obviously, the interesting thing with them is that you can also take Montgomery, because
Montgomery would have been the other guy.
The great thing about the Bills is that you can basically select their starters the entire way, because of the way their team is structured. You don't always get Cook, but then you can go Cooper, Shakir, Kincaid. You could take Ray Davis, Chai Johnson. Never gets
Curtis
selected.
Samuel, man. Curtis Samuel is looking healthy from turf toe. Like that is very significant. Like he's like no longer a pure 0. Like scored 18 points last week.
Correct. Yeah, I like Ty Johnson as a scroll pick. Liam, I'm gonna end up with a lot of Bills in this contest. Probably maybe even more Bills than Chiefs, because I like the Lions a shit ton. I just feel like the Lions are the team of destiny, and the Chiefs are a bad pairing with the Lions
Bills,
because they,
baby. We're getting that. Yeah, and so when you draft the Lions, what's your preferred strategy when you think you're drafting one seeds? Do you try to add the thin Khalif Raymond to try to win this,
Yeah,
to win
every
all the
time.
money,
Every time.
or
Yeah.
are you trying to get an advance rate guy who gets bounces in the, like a Puka Nakua or whatever?
Never. I'm the advance rate guy 0% of the time.
Yeah, I think the payouts really incentivize you to try to win.
No, and then we get Cook
Cook
anyway.
is a gift here.
Yeah, he's a huge gift.
And
So
then
the issue you run into with these Bills teams,
well, show me the board. Show me the board. I want to see something.
the issue with these Bills teams is that we are very, very live for a chop. The first place teams last year were a chop.
I mean, the ADPs are just wrong. Like, Amari Cooper should not be going ahead of Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir is like,
well, half point PPR does Shakir have a touchdown this year?
I mean, Amari Cooper just won 2 for 55, right? And has a cast on his wrist. He can have a huge game.
He's much more likely to generate a difference-making score in half point PPR. I think ADP is correct there.
I think I would take Shakir here, and especially if you're worried. Like, what is Shakir's ADP?
Shakir,
I mean, I wouldn't take Shakir if we can get him in the next pick, but
we should be able to. This is a good spot to take Laporta, actually.
Whoa. Oh, so you're trying to play both?
Yeah, because we're gonna take 5 Bills.
I would have taken Goddard
or 4 Bills. Sure. Well, no, I think when you don't have the quarterback and you've got an early round quarterback, I think
you can. But this is not.
You could probably mix it.
This isn't win maxing. This is literally advance rate maxing, where you're taking a guy.
This is providing multiple outs on the same team.
Yes, you are covering for more Super Bowls, but that's inherently meaning that you are not maximizing for, like, if the Eagles make the Super Bowl, you will regret having Laporta if Goddard is
over Goddard.
Yeah, you will.
Sure, but you could obviously you could argue it the other way, which is AJ Brown is the advanced piece, and we're actually building this like the Lions make it. We draft Khalif Raymond in the final round.
100%. I think you should mix, but my general lean is
my favorite build is 4-2-2-2. So 4 from the Super Bowl team in one conference, then 2-2-2, all from the opposite conference.
Well, and the Bills are a really nice team to do it with, just because you can get.
You could literally take 5. You could literally take 5. You could do. No, Chip, I'm definitely not giving you $100 now after you won 50K on the dog app this last week.
I'd take Shakir here.
Sure. I will have way more Cooper than Shakir.
I just straight up would not draft any Steelers. I would much rather.
No, I will take Najee sometimes when I need an AFC running back who.
That's an advance rate piece.
Yeah, I'll take him in round 8, 9, 10 or whatever.
Unfortunately, the Bills are probably going to get the 1 seed, so it does. Like, I think for these early
if the Bills get the 1 seed, this team is dead.
And so what I'm trying to say is, for these early contests, drafting like the Bills get the 1 seed will be very unique, and so if the Bills do go to the Super Bowl, almost no one will get there because they're all drafting these like solo Josh Allen teams, and no one's making it out of the first round. And so a sharp thing to do.
I actually draft a lot of 2 quarterback teams, even when I've got a team that's not projected for the bye, just because I don't know. I
would never do that with Josh Allen. I would, maybe like someone else.
Why not? You could take Kirk Cousins in the final round.
So am I just a spectator in this draft? What are we doing? We're playing 5.
We needed any NFC running back, so your choice was Josh Jacobs, Bijan, or Aaron Jones. Who would you have taken there?
Why did we need an NFC? Why did we need Josh Jacobs? I don't.
So we needed any NFC running back. Gainwell,
I would
you
have
don't
taken
go.
like Cooper. I would have taken a Bill or
Oh, we're gonna
like
take, buddy. We're gonna take Kincaid. I thought you'd want Kincaid.
I would like both because I want the piece to separate and win the 10 grand rather than getting $100. I think this team is too, like 3 NFC teams feels pretty bad, in my opinion. Could it work? Sure. You could get this random like AJ Brown and then Laporta and then Jacobs, but I don't think this team is ideally structured to win.
I guess where I'm differing is when we are drafting these in November and like we don't know who is going to be the 1 seed. I
Yeah, you
like
should just accept a lot of your teams are going to die.
except a lot of your teams are going to die, but I think this is and we could take I think
take
Kincaid
Keelan,
went.
I guess.
Yeah, we could take Keon. I think building in a little bit more noise reduction if you're drafting 150 teams is good. That's my opinion. Other opinions can differ, I'm sure. But I like having different when I've got a full Eagle stack, I like having a couple different AFC teams. When you're doing a full NFC stack, I like having a couple different.
Yeah, I would build some teams like this, but it's like very far down on my list as far as like maximizing win equity. And like
Right.
no reason to take Josh Jacobs when we could have just taken like Bijan here, you know?
Sure.
Because now
That's
we're
the other thing is the ADP is very unsettled. Who do you
now
want
we're
here?
attacking on like Ray Davis, you know?
Yeah, or we could take Jordan Love. What do you want to do?
Curtis, I know.
Did I get it? Nimble fingers. Nimble fingers.
Do we own like are there any Lions and or Eagles to add on to this team now?
Yeah, so we've got Johnny Wilson, Calcaterra, Tim Patrick, Khalif Raymond.
And that's why I think like the worst
Gainwell.
like the Goddard pick over Laporta, just because the Eagles are, you know, they're such like a narrow team as far as likely guys to contribute you know, points. I guess you like Will Shipley, Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah, Gainwell and Justice Hill are like the most important picks in the whole fucking pool, basically, because of the ADPs of their starting running backs and how often Justice Hill is going to be paired with Lamar like an absurd amount of time. And Justice Hill is going to be paired with Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff a huge percentage of the time to set up the Super Bowl. Like those
and
guys
Josh Allen, I think will be
and
correlated with.
no, he wouldn't. Why would you do Justice Hill with Josh Allen?
No, not Justice.
Gainwell.
Gainwell.
Yes, yeah, 100%. All right, what do you want to do here?
I mean, I like who do you want to play? Do you want to play the Lions or like if it's the Lions, let's do Tim Patrick. If it's the Eagles, let's do Gainwell.
Well, we have 2 picks left and we have 5 bills already.
Yeah. I would, but like, I don't know, like Mac Hollins just seems more likely to give you a game than
I think 6 from one team is got to be terrible. It's got to just be
not if you get to the Super Bowl. And the way we like, I think we do Gainwell with this pick, but this is a team where you maybe do 6 because you spread it out with Jacobs, Brown, Laporta rather than.
I think I'll need to talk to like Sacrilegious or Corain or something. I assume 6 has got to be about mathematically the worst thing you could possibly do because the 6th guy's point expectation in any given round is 0. So you are adding on a dead roster spot on purpose.
You forget that once you get out of the first round, you can get paired with so many dead teams, depending how the playoffs go. Where you like
no, you will get paired with a ton of that's a mathematical.
You will be paired with a ton of dead teams, and so you know, okay, a little bit harder to get out of round 1, tacking on Mac Hollins, but once you do, you'd much rather have a live Mac Hollins or Dawson Knox or whoever than, you know, some guy who got bounced.
Well, I think on this team, you'd want Patrick or Raymond or Craig Reynolds, like 100x.
Yeah, I'm fine with the Lion. But I don't know. Lion
Khalif
1
Raymond,
seed. No, I would.
Brock
Oh
Wright.
God, he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Tim,
think,
if you're in a sharp room, Patrick or Raymond goes every time.
yeah, I think Gainwell's a particularly good pick, and you could even do Will Shipley because like Saquon rolls his ankle,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Or they win by 1 billion points in the wild card round or whatever.
No, but I'm talking more about like how Gainwell's going to jump up to like a 3rd round pick in these contests if Saquon gets hurt from between now and the playoffs.
Yeah. True. All right, man. Ready to build our pick entry?
Let's do it.
What were your thoughts on the ADP?
I think some of it is it's different than last year, right? Where last year, now these are early, but last year all the quarterbacks were like going very high. Like people like Lamar was a 1st round pick, and I think we might eventually get there.
This team is worth $0 when the Bills get the 1 seed.
Exactly. This team is dead, and you should build some teams like this. And I think most people are building Bills teams like this. So that inherently means that you should build some teams like the Bills do get the 1 seed, and you should build some Chiefs teams like they don't get the 1 seed, because most people drafting Chiefs are going to be drafting them like they get the 1 seed, right? And then you simply just hope that that doesn't occur. You're the only one who built this. You can't go back and change anything. You know, these contests will be filled in a couple days. Like Justice Hill is a risky pick too, by the way, because Keaton Mitchell could be a thing by then.
Yeah. I mean, wait, I don't think I did draft Matt Collins. Did I not? Oh, fuck. I did draft Matt Collins. I meant to click Khalif Raymond. There you go. Unnibble fingers. So there you go.
Bait right there.
I drafted a 0. All right, Liam, let's build our slip or DFS pick entry, and let's get out of here.
Let me pull up the app. You start us off here.
Yeah, I do like Jordan Love. There are obviously it's not very likely, but certainly it is possible in my mind for the Packers to get to the Super Bowl. So I do like those. All right. I will get us started. I'm not taking anything from Thursday night. I don't even really want to watch that game. I will do, wow, they really don't have anything posted yet. This is very early. Minnesota, Chicago. Okay, they've got more stuff here. I will do DJ Moore.
I'll give us something from Thursday night.
All right, hit me.
Jerome Ford higher than 11.5 receiving yards.
This is actually, I was ready to say this is terrible, but this is actually quite good. All right, there we go. Jerome Ford higher. He played more snaps. He's running
he was a good pick in best ball if the Browns weren't terrible, and if his quarterback wasn't Jameis, who does not check it down.
Be terrible. With Ford, you want them to be terrible.
Yeah, but you want a noodle arm. Like you want like Mac Jones back there. You don't want Jameis.
Well, if only there was some way to know who their backup quarterback was before the start of the season.
Yeah, but the presumed starter to me was Deshaun Watson.
Was a noodle arm.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay.
And there we go.
The theory
I do like that.
The theory was that Chubb would not just assume full round duties, and he's not been doing that. That game, by the way, so poetic, like quintessential Taysom Hill, quintessential Jameis Winston, where huge game and they get blown out. They get like just absolutely
like, yes. Jerry Jeudy got 30. I bet his team lost by 30.
Yeah. And then, you know what else is a sneaky pick for this Pitt Cleveland game is, do the Steelers see what Taysom Hill did against the Browns and give Justin Fields a package? And so like if they lay a Justin Fields over rushing yards, that would be logical to do.
You will be able to if you want. I bet they will have a Fields rushing touchdown in there somewhere. But
by the way, Taysom Hill's age, 34. Just 34, laying the wood week after week.
And they changed him to quarterback on Underdog, and I'll never, ever, 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 ever forgive them for that. All right.
He was a good pick at quarterback too.
He contributed. I did see a team last week. Someone was doing the BBMDB thing, and they found a Carr Taysom team where Taysom was the contributing quarterback last week, which is very funny. DJ Moore, 49.5 receiving yards, higher.
I like it.
That DJ Moore's back. Caleb is back.
I maybe like what's his reception line, because he's getting screens.
They don't have it. When they post it, I would take a look at what Caleb's rushing yards or rushing attempts is. That will be interesting.
I don't know, because the Vikings blitz so much, which I think will make Caleb not be able to.
No, he kept running against the blitz last week. He's bailing out immediately. They were calling like quick draws and stuff for him.
Okay. I'm going to kick us to Monday Night Football. Ladd McConkey over 62.5.
That is very good. That's free money, basically. I really like that one. Would they have anything up for our boys Cooper Kupp? Nothing for Puka Nacua, so I'm going to skip that one. What about San Francisco at Green Bay? Nothing yet. Arizona, Seattle. I like James Conner higher than 67.5 rushing yards. What's your thought on that?
That's a lot, man. I don't know.
Right.
It's off the bye. So the thing there is that Trey Benson was playing more before the bye. And do we think that goes away? Oh, that's a nice one. I like the under.
Javonte Williams lower 51.5 rushing yards. Now that might be a fair projection for him. I don't know, but I said the same thing on the Pick'em show last Friday with Nez. The Audric Estime line was 52.5 rushing yards, and I said, dude, we're just taking the lower. Like when there's that much input volatility, take the lower. We took the lower. I'm taking Javonte Williams lower 51.5 rushing yards.
Let's do Rachaad White touchdown.
Hate it. Prefer Bucky, but that's fine.
I think the Giants have a nice front seven, so this is going to be a quintessential Rachaad White dump off, scores a touchdown at the 10-yard line.
Thank you, Nez. Thank you. Yeah, I think this is terrible. I think they're going to run the whole game. I think it's Bucky, but it's not my business to correct.
I kind of like the Tommy DeVito fumble loss too, with the blitz heavy Bucks.
No, that is pretty good.
2x multiplier.
Don't love any of these. What do we've got for? I mean, in what world is Joe Mixon not running for 100 yards against the Titans, bro? I'm not gonna do it.
Defense is
no, they're good.
I almost want to take the under on Pollard or Ridley.
Yeah.
Those are pretty juiced, I think.
Let's do lower 59.5 rushing yards for Chuba Hubbard. They're gonna activate Brooks, and they're gonna get blown out.
Maybe lower Mahomes 240.5 if they're just running the ball.
I don't hate that. I'm not gonna do it.
I kind of like the Hopkins touchdown too, where I don't think you're getting man heavy Carolina.
No, that's a good middle for that game for us. Dallas against Washington. When Brian Robinson Jr. touchdown pops up, go in there. What do you like? What do you think about his rushing yards? Too high? It's a lot of yards.
Yeah, it is a lot of yards. I want to take an Eckler over receptions, but they're not hanging it.
Yeah.
How about they're not hanging Christian Watson? I think he's interesting. Jaden Reed scores a touchdown, then just not used anymore.
They only ran 44 plays.
Yeah.
They just kept punting. So I think
that kind of makes the love higher passing, hoping that we get a lower line because they ran so few plays. I kind of like that.
It's good. I think that's a huge game for those teams. Insanely
playoff revenge.
Yeah, huge game. All right, we need one more.
Kyron under rushing yards. It's kind of high line, 75.5.
I would rather legit, man. I would rather do AJ Brown higher receiving yards.
That was going to be the other one I said. Let's do that one.
There we go. All right. Champions entry. Liam can't do these because he is not.
It went through. State. It went through. Nothing ever goes through, but it went through. Here, I'll post it.
All right. For the people listening at home,
You on Twitch too, man?
yeah. Right now, 2 people are watching us on Twitch. So shout out to the people on Twitch, brother.
I've been thinking about getting up on Twitch. I don't know why I just haven't. Hey, Benjoa.
There we go. For the audio listeners, we have got Jerome Ford higher 11.5 receiving yards, DJ Moore higher 49.5 receiving yards, Lad McConkey higher 62.5, Javonte Williams lower 51.5 rushing yards, Rashad White to score a touchdown, DeAndre Hopkins to score a touchdown, Jordan Love higher 245.5 passing yards, AJ Brown higher 79.5 receiving yards. All right, Liam, I got to go let my puppy out before we do the BR Sim stream with Nerdy Tenor and Brian Hooper here in a moment. What have you got going on this week for people to tune into?
Gonna have playoff rankings on the site by tomorrow, by the latest. And that's really it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'm excited for the best ball playoffs, guys.
I'm already over the best ball playoffs, and I have moved on to playoff.
Spoken like a man who's coming in 5th in best ball mania. I feel it for you, Davis.
From your lips to God's ears, everyone, please like the video. Please leave a comment down below. Please subscribe to Liam's channel. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to Liam's chess channel, and go watch the newest episode of the Take Cast with Andrew Wiggins on YouTube. That was a particularly interesting one. I am going to be back in 30 minutes with Nerdy Tenor and Brian Hooper for the Battle Royale Sim stream. I will see you guys all then. It's Short King Summer, dude. It just feels like no one in fantasy sports ever learns anything. Does he mistime it, or is Brock Bowers just a grown man? Brock Bowers is just a grown man. Dare I say, Rich, football might be back. In the words of Lane Johnson, this offense